Good afternoon, I'm Sean Yao, and this is One News Now. The government is looking at importing some 1.3 million metric tons of rice, just as prices of the staple begin to go up in wet markets. While the Agriculture Department assures the Philippines has enough supply of rice for now, there's also a need to augment it before the local harvest season starts in September or October. The push for importation comes on the back of a warning from the Federation of Free Farmers that September will be a critical month for the country's rice stock. Even President Bongbong Marcos has raised concerns over the grains output from the agriculture sector. After Typhoon Egay hit and before the full impact of El Nino kicks in. As early as now, the price of rice has increased in Metro Manila's wet markets. The local variety goes for 37 to 49 pesos now, up by 1 or 2 pesos. Imported rice now costs 41 to 58 pesos per kilo, or an increase of as much as 3 pesos a kilo. The DA says the hike in rice prices was due to more expensive fertilizers and fuel products. President Bongbong Marcos says his government is closely watching certain agriculture inputs to prevent any significant increase in the retail price of rice. On Tuesday, the chief executive met with agriculture officials to discuss ways on stabilizing prices and supply of rice. This is, of course, considering Typhoon Egay's aftermath and the El Nino. Marcos Jr., who sits as concurrent agriculture secretary, also mentioned the creation of a buffer stock in response to a projected drought.
Mukha naman, sa ngayon, the supply is okay. Gagawa na kami ng schedule kung saan tayo kukuha ng production, kung saan tayo bibili dito sa local, kung kailangan mag-import, mag-import na naman tayo.
And still on agriculture, Typhoon Egay's damage to the sector has climbed up and is now nearing 3 billion pesos. According to the DA, the recent typhoon swept over 160,000 hectares of farmlands, putting to waste over 33,000 metric tons of rice worth 1 billion pesos. Corn plantations likewise suffered heavy damage, pegged at nearly 1 billion pesos, with around 53,000 metric tons of corn lost to massive floods. And as for other high-value crops in the Philippines, losses are at 235 million pesos, translating to some 11,000 metric tons. The livestock industry is not spared and is also reeling, with over 8,900 farm animals worth 11 million pesos dead at the height of Typhoon Egay's onslaught. In total, damage to farming infrastructure amounted to 350 million pesos. Some 1,200 fisher folk were also affected by Egay, with overall damage to the fisheries sector pegged at 175 million pesos. We're going to pause for a quick break, but One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Keep it here. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Let's check in on the weather. The southwest monsoon or habagat will continue to affect most parts of the country. The habagat is being enhanced by Typhoon Falcon, despite it having already exited the Philippine area of responsibility. It was last spotted some 765 kilometers northeast of Itbayatin, Batanes, heading to Japan. The habagat will continue to bring monsoon rains over Zambales and Bataan until Friday. Metro Manila, Ilocos, Pampanga, Bulacan, and Occidental Mindoro may experience occasional rains. Meanwhile, the rest of the country could also expect rains due to both the habagat and localized thunderstorms. Moving on to another story, former Negros Oriental Governor Pride Henry Teves said that the terrorist tag against him and his brother has made life difficult for his family. The ex-governor, his sibling Congressman Arnie Teves, and 11 others have been tagged as terrorists. This is still in connection with the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo and a string of other crimes in the province. Teves told the Big Story that he will appeal the designation, recently handed down by the Anti-Terrorism Council.
My record will speak for itself, but I'm also very consistent. I'm always been law-abiding. It's ironic now that I used to be a victim of terrorism. Now, I'm the one tagged as a terrorist. When the issue started, I already opened up everything. They can see that, I'm not a part of this. I cooperated. There are still administrative remedies which you can appeal to. I think there's a delisting request or anything. Then after that, I think you can move to the Court of Appeals.
Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. The national government's outstanding debt ballooned to a fresh record high in the first half of 2023. Data from the Treasury Bureau shows that the country's outstanding debt inched up to 14.15 trillion pesos at the end of June. That is 0.4% higher than the figure logged in May of 14.1 trillion. Domestic debt saw an increase after the net issuance of government bonds, driven by the government's financing requirements. Search and rescue operations for another missing Cessna plane in Cagayan resumes today. The two-seater plane went missing on Tuesday afternoon, just a few minutes after it took off from Lawag City. It was carrying two people, the pilot and an Indian student pilot. The plane was supposed to land in Tuguegarao City at around 1 in the afternoon. Leptospirosis cases have gone up by 76% in Region 4A or Calabarzon amid the heavy rains. The health department tallied 95 cases from the start of the year to July 29. This is higher than the 54 cases recorded in the same period last year. The DOH is now advising the public to avoid swimming and playing in floodwaters and to avoid drinking contaminated water. And on a lighter note, day 2 of Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill concert is happening tonight. After being postponed 3 times due to the pandemic, the Canadian superstar delighted fans at her Mall of Asia Arena concert in Pasay last night. Morissette opened with All I Really Want and also performed her all-time hits, Hand in My Pocket, You Learn, and Head Over Feet. The show is part of Alanis's tour to celebrate the 25th anniversary of her album. Singer-songwriter Iseguera was the front act in the Jagged Little Pill show. And Congressman Arjo Ataide and his wife, TV actress Maine Mendoza, came forward to clarify their recent overseas trips. The clarification stemmed from a report by the Inquirer that the couple's trip to Switzerland, Italy, and Greece were part of the politician's official trip. In a tweet, Mendoza belied the report, saying that it is, quote, misleading and false. She also claimed that they personally paid for their out-of-the-country trips. However, the Inquirer stands by its story, saying that they do have documents and sources to back their report. One News Now will be back at 3:15 p.m. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.